The ship sails proudly across the Aegean Sea. Its name, the Ship of Theseus, a symbol of legacy and strength. But there's a problem. Over time, the wooden planks rot. Slowly, one by one, they are replaced. After years of maintenance, not a single piece of the original ship remains. And yet, it's still called the Ship of Theseus. But then, something strange happens. A clever collector gathers all those discarded original planks and rebuilds them. He reconstructs the exact same ship, using the original materials. Now, here's the question, and it's not as simple as it seems. Which ship is the real Ship of Theseus? Is it the one that's evolved, piece by piece, over time? Or the one that was rebuilt with the same parts it once had? And here's where it gets deeply personal. Because you are the Ship of Theseus. Every 7 to 10 years, nearly every cell in your body has been replaced. Your skin, your bones, your organs, even the cells in your brain. So if everything that made you, physically, is gone, are you still the same person you were 10 years ago? What if your thoughts have changed too? Your beliefs? Your memories? Is you just an illusion held together by a story your brain keeps repeating? This isn't just a puzzle. It's a direct attack on the very idea of identity. Because if the past you is gone, and the future you hasn't arrived, who exactly is living right now? 2. Zeno's Paradox. The arrow that never moves. An arrow is flying through the air. You see it soaring in slow motion, cutting through the wind. But Zeno, a philosopher from ancient Greece, looks at that arrow and says something completely absurd. It's not moving. At first it sounds like nonsense. But Zeno explains it like this. Take any moment in time, any frozen instant, and look at the arrow. In that precise moment, it's in just one spot. It's not moving, it's just there. And if at every moment of time, the arrow is always in one fixed position, then how can it possibly be moving at all? Now multiply that by infinity, because time, Zeno argues, is made up of an infinite number of moments. And if in each one of those moments the arrow is frozen in place, how does it ever get from point A to point B? It doesn't. Motion, Zeno says, is an illusion. Now let that sink in. Because what if movement, what we feel, what we see, isn't real? What if it's just our brain stitching together still frames like a flipbook? Here's where it gets terrifying. In quantum mechanics, at the smallest level of existence, particles don't slide from one point to another. They jump. Reality, it seems, is not continuous. Maybe Zeno wasn't crazy. Maybe he was accidentally right. And that means you've never actually moved. You've just appeared in different places, one moment after another. A ghost, skipping across frames in a cosmic slideshow. So, are you moving through time, or are you just watching yourself appear again? And again, and again? 3. Brain in a vat. The reality you can't escape. You're watching this video right now, or at least you think you are. But stop for a second and ask, how do you know this is real? Not believe, not feel. No, because there's a terrifying possibility that has haunted philosophers and scientists for decades. Imagine this. You're nothing more than a brain floating in a vat, connected to a supercomputer. That computer is feeding you every sight, sound, touch, and memory. Your entire life. Every word you've ever heard, every person you've ever loved, every pain you've ever felt is being fed to you. Like a video game, but with no controller. You'd have no way of knowing, because everything feels real, but none of it is. This is called the brain in a vat problem. And here's the sick part. You can't disprove it. You could argue, well, I can feel my body. But what if the sensation of a body is just part of the simulation? You could say, but I remember my past. But what if your memories were uploaded into you 5 minutes ago? And before you laugh it off, think about this. The Matrix, one of the most iconic films of all time, is literally this idea, turned into cinema. But the scary part? It was based on real philosophy. Even Descartes, 400 years ago, wrote about the idea of an evil demon tricking us into believing the world was real. He couldn't prove it wasn't happening. Neither can you. Now here's where it gets even darker. Modern scientists and AI theorists now seriously consider the idea that we are in a simulation. Think about it. If we can already simulate life in video games, how far until we can simulate consciousness? If any civilization can create a virtual world indistinguishable from reality, and they can run millions of them, statistically, it's more likely that we're in a simulation than in base reality. So here's the real question. If your experience feels real, if your pain, your joy, your memories all feel true, does it even matter if it's fake? And if you ever found out for certain that it was all code, would you even want to leave? 4. The Omnipotence Paradox, the rock that breaks God. Can an all-powerful being create a rock so heavy that even they can't lift it? It's a question that sounds ridiculous, even childish at first, but it's a trap, a brutal one, because no matter how you answer it, something breaks. If the answer is yes, the being can create such a rock, then that being can no longer lift it, which means they're not all-powerful. But if the answer is no, they can't create it, then again, they're not all-powerful. Either way, the very idea of limitless power destroys itself. This is the Omnipotence Paradox, a mind-bending loop that exposes something chilling. Even the concept of perfection can collapse under its own weight. Now apply this to our idea of gods, deities, or the universe itself. Can perfection exist if it's bound by logic? Or does true omnipotence mean the ability to break logic itself? Here's where it gets deeply weird. Some theologians try to argue that true power means doing anything logically possible, but then that means logic is the limit, not the being. And if a god is bound by logic, who made the rules of logic? So here's the deeper question. Is the universe built on reason? Or is reason just a fragile human invention? A lens too small to see the full picture? Because if even infinity collapses under scrutiny, what else might break? 5. The liar paradox. The sentence that destroys logic. This sentence is false. Pause. If that sentence is true, then it's false. But if it's false, then it must be true. It loops endlessly, devouring itself, a linguistic black hole. This is the liar paradox, and it's one of the oldest and deadliest weapons in the war against logic. Because this isn't just some fun word game. This paradox breaks the very foundations of truth. Imagine a legal system based on logic, or an AI designed to process facts, or a philosophical framework that depends on language. Now inject this sentence into it. This statement is false. The entire system crashes. No amount of reasoning can resolve it. There's no correct answer. It just loops forever. And here's where it gets horrifying. This paradox directly inspired Kurt Gödel's incompleteness theorem, which proved that within any logical system, there will always be statements that are true, but unprovable. In other words, logic itself is incomplete. You can never build a perfect machine of thought. There will always be cracks, always be ghosts in the system. Now ask yourself this. If logic is flawed, what about everything we've ever built on it? Science, philosophy, ethics, artificial intelligence? What happens when the machine meets a sentence it can't kill? 6. The unexpected. Hanging paradox. The execution. You can't predict. A prisoner is told by the judge, you will be hanged at noon on one weekday next week, but it will be a surprise. You will not know the day of the hanging until the executioner comes to your cell. The prisoner thinks he's clever. He starts reasoning backward. It can't be Friday, he thinks. If I'm not hanged by Thursday, then it must be Friday, and that wouldn't be a surprise. So it can't be Friday. Then he thinks, if it can't be Friday, then it can't be Thursday either, because by Wednesday night, if I haven't been hanged yet, I'll know it's Thursday. He keeps going. One by one, he eliminates each possible day. In the end, he confidently concludes, they can't hang me at all. And then, on Wednesday morning, the executioner arrives. The prisoner is completely stunned. It was a surprise, and yet everything he thought was logically correct. This is the unexpected hanging paradox, a devastating puzzle that shows that even perfect logic can be completely wrong. How? Because it turns logic into a weapon against itself. The moment you try to outsmart the system, the moment you believe you've solved it, it collapses in on you. And here's the real horror. This paradox isn't just theoretical. It reveals a terrifying truth about the limits of prediction. You can have all the data, all the reasoning, all the intelligence, and still get blindsided by something that shouldn't be possible. Because life doesn't always follow logic. Sometimes the trap is expecting it to. The deeper you go into these paradoxes, the harder it gets to come back. Because they don't just attack your beliefs. They attack the mechanism you use to believe anything at all. Your sense of time, motion, identity, truth, reality, They expose the terrifying possibility that everything you think is solid might just be a story, but maybe, just maybe, that's not a reason to fear. Maybe it's a reason to keep asking, to keep exploring, to keep looking deeper, because as strange and unsettling as these paradoxes are, they reveal something beautiful. The human mind is capable of questioning the very structure of existence, and that's something no simulation, no paradox, no algorithm can take away. Now I want to know, which of these 6 paradoxes broke your brain the most? Tell me in the comments, and if you want to dive even deeper into thought experiments, strange science and logic traps, subscribe, because next time, we're going even further down the rabbit hole. Until then, keep thinking dangerously.